Hey guys, so time for the very first video here. My name is Vincent. I am a software developer, engineering manager, um, people person, I guess, first and foremost, living in New Jersey. And I am also the cousin of a grooming salon owner. Her name is Katie. She runs All for Dogs in Berkeley Heights, New Jersey. And a couple years ago, from this day about, she was using some software for recording her pets, her appointments, and the software had some limitations that she didn't like. And I initially looked for some alternatives, and at the time didn't see something that sort of matched her specific needs, and so I started to build her something. It's kind of interesting because the way she started out, she really only focused on cage cards. So she still does this. She writes index cards with the dog's name and the service on it. And at the end of the week, actually, she'll enter the cage cards into the app. So this is there's obviously there's a lot of different ways to do these things, but we kind of matured the system over time to become more of a what we call a CRM, which is customer relationship management. But really, it's just having a database of customers, having the historical transactions or services that you had with those customers, and it's come a long way because now you can specify what services you're doing for a specific dog. You can add multiple dogs for a customer, and you can do pretty cool types of searches for customers and that sort of thing. And then we have some reporting too. Um, Katie's had some questions around income and kind of goals and like how many dogs she needs for certain goals and that sort of thing. Um, and so also in terms of like groomer performance, like let's say she's out one groomer for a while, she needs to know like how many dogs she needs to catch up with, or if she's hiring, she needs to know what the grooming capacity is of a groomer that she's trying to hire. So all that kind of stuff. So I've been doing so basically, I've been trying to start a business and really more like trying to find a business idea to start for the longest time. And I danced around this being it for a long time. Pretty much, I guess, since a year ago, when I realized, like, okay, if I'm building this and it's usable, would other people benefit from it? And so, in my endless pursuit of some sort of a business that would be sustainable and make sense for me, I kind of I've learned a lot about techniques um, for basically advertising and figuring out a service that you can actually deliver, right? So it's kind of cool because with Katie, Katie actually is what the lingo is. She's my design partner, right? So she's like this one business that I work deeply with to understand her needs, her requirements, and also the business of grooming in general. So it's pretty cool because um, I've been able to do that with her. She's really easy to get along with. She's patient, which is good when first starting out. Um, but we're a lot further along now, where um, we have the necessary things in place to keep things stable and everything. But there is there's this goal that I've had, or that Katie's had too for the longest time, and it's online booking, right? Because it's like the ultimate time saver, money saver, opportunity increaser, right? This idea of online booking where she's not paying her bather to enter in appointments. She's not paying her appointment setter to enter in appointments. She's just basically the appointment setting is being delegated to the customer, is like the ultimate efficiency gain, right? And it's like, we think of this, we take it for granted now with like Grubhub and stuff like that, that we're effectively taking the note of the order and not somebody at the restaurant. So the folks at the restaurant can focus on cooking rather than taking orders, possibly, alleviating mistakes or preventing mistakes. There are downsides to this, though. Obviously, I've noticed uh, in food ordering, it's kind of nicer if you order in person because there's more skin in the game and folks know who they're actually serving. You tend to get better service. Um, but there's sort of similar issues in the in dog grooming too, um, where there's like a disconnect between the customer and the grooming shop, and a lot of that has to do with the groomer's knowledge of dogs that are coming in, right? So not only groomer knowledge of dogs coming in, but also who's at the shop now, and so and also there's other things like some salons have preferences around which groomer does which dogs, and some salons want the customer to be able to choose their groomer, and other salons don't. Other salons want to make sure that groomers are, kind of all the same behind the scenes, in terms of, not wanting to be in a situation where if a groomer is not there, that a person won't book the appointment, right? There's a few downsides to that, right? Although admittedly there are upsides to like being able to specify who gets a given dog, and so I've done a lot of calls to salons over the United States and asked them about these nuances, about if if you were to do online booking, what would you need in order for it to really work for you and not end up just messing up your booking situation, right? Um, so yeah, but I didn't want to go into that yet. What I wanted to talk about was my design partner, Katie. So Katie has a situation where her appointment setter doesn't want to put appointments in an app, because she's very used to her book. And since the beginning, I've kind of looked at this from the perspective of, you know, this is a preference that helps me to do better as a software developer, as a designer, to pick and choose what are the best things at my disposal that I can put together to make the app comfortable, right? So easy to use, comfortable, and that sort of a thing. So, and we've been going back and forth about this for about a year now, maybe a little over a year, in terms of like the holy grail of online booking. Can we get there? Um, and We're actually still working on it. So I have, from one perspective, I have Katie's and her appointment setters input on what would online booking functionality need to be like. And then on the other side, I also have from her appointment setter's perspective, what would the app's uh, appointment setting need to look like, right? Because she needs to put, this is the key piece here, she needs to have the appointments booked into the future, so that when customers online try to book, the platform knows what's available and who's available and that sort of a thing. So, I started out with the classic calendar design in an app, like your typical Outlook approach or your Gmail calendar approach, to try to figure out, like, is this something that she could use? And um, it still wasn't, the comfort and ease of use of an appointment book still won, and that actually makes sense. And I do like this. Like, I'm 43. I'm not like digital native or whatever. So to me, pen and paper is actually comforting. I take notes on pen and paper. I journal on pen and paper. It's very important to me. So I respect that. I guess I can also respect like the layout, right, of a of an appointment book. So um, recently, me, Katie, and the appointment setter kind of agreed on this hypothesis, right? If I could make the appointment book as close as possible, sorry, if I could make a virtual appointment book as close as possible to the original, then maybe it would be easier for the appointment setter to book the appointments in the app, which would then allow us to move into online booking, at least partially, right? So that she could try it out and see if all the benefits are really real. Are they really tangible? Would she kind of gain this additional capacity where her team could focus more on bathing and grooming or business building, maybe advertising rather than just setting appointments, because it takes up many hours across more than one person in the company. So we started out with looking at what does the appointment book look like. So if I go to an example, we have an example view here. Okay, so this is the appointment book, like that. So it's really cool because it has all this space. You can look really quickly. You can navigate on the tabs for the months really fast. And so, just respecting this and being like, this is a fast, tangible way to get to appointments, to look them up. We did the same thing. I did the same thing with the app. So this is kind of a special feature for Katie's appointment setter, um, so that she can easily jump to different months. And so if she jumps to January, she's got everything ahead. These should actually be over here on the right, so I'll fix that. But let's say she jumps back to today, and then she can go in here and choose a groomer. This is specifically the appointment setter's approach. So let's see, we add myself. I have a French Bulldog here. It's not working right now. Anyway, it's not ready for prime time, but this is the idea. So you have this ability to change the time. You can choose the dog. And of course, you could search for the customer. I think what I had just added here was the ability to create a customer. Yeah, this is not working right now. But yeah, so this is the idea. And you can scroll back and forth like you could in a regular like just swipe back and forth on the pages. So yeah, so we'll see if this helps us get to online booking, and then we'll want to pay close attention to kind of like, what's the gut feel at the shop, like, is this helping or not, right? Because we want to help. We don't want to cause issues, or if we cause issues initially when experimenting with something new, we want to start in a small increment and go from there.